Should we do our usual intro?
Yeah. You start.
Okay. Welcome to the mess hall where we talk to y'all about your problems.
That's probably one of the better intros we've had.
Yeah, what do you usually do? You're like, what's up, sluts? It's me, Andy. Hey, come on over. I got a Tesla.
Exactly that. No, we always do, hey, welcome to the mess hall. I'm blah, blah, blah. I'm blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Here's our guest.
That's what I love about your pod is you don't say your names. I think that's good. You keep them guessing out there.
Yeah.
Find us.
I was actually very impressed you knew the name of the podcast. Oh, yeah, the light's behind me, isn't it?
And I was nervous that was just like some fun kit you had on the wall and that I would look like a total dupe.
Yeah, that was good.
Thank you.
Impressive.
Our guest, Sam Talent. You guys already know that, probably, because we put it on a screen.
Hey, everyone.
You did shows at the Secret Group last night. How was that?
I had a great time at Secret Group. Thank you for having me. Reed's intense. I like Reed a lot, dude.
He's an intense man.
Dude, Reed has a lot of big ideas about people running shows in Texas.
Big ideas and some grudges.
Yeah, dude. That man's got a bunch of crosses strapped to his back.
He's definitely got some burning bridges all around him.
Yeah,
and he's like walking away like, fuck them. And he's
Yeah.
like, he'll set a bridge on fire just for the fun of it.
And he needs to take that bridge to work.
Yeah. It's rough. He's I love the guy, but he is an intense individual.
Dude, I love that energy in the green room. I'm sincere. I love a guy who's just like ready to like fucking talk shit about everyone. I'm like, yes, give me the tea, Reed.
That's what I love. Yesterday he was talking about somebody, and he's like, I almost fought the guy. I was gonna kick his ass, and I go, that guy paid me extra one time. He was wonderful. I liked it. I just love being the opposite of whatever he's got going on.
That was fun to see. Yes.
He's a good guy, but man, a comic pulled me aside and pointed this out. Never has he ever seen so many comics wear shorts on stage yesterday.
Yeah.
Not just you and your crew, but like there were also like 5 other comics just there in shorts. It's like a new trend.
Isn't that like a very indigenous phenomenon to Houston though?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
I thought it was just like a common phenomenon here because you guys have that thing in the green room, in the small room, that's like shorts on stage and then Houston comics.
Oh
that
yeah, we got a little meme up there. Yeah. Well, it was I'm sure this is everywhere probably, but I just remember that there was this huge online debate in the Houston Comics Facebook group of shorts and not shorts, and most of us were like, I don't care. But then like the old school guys were like, we would never, not in a million years, and I'm like, I've never done it. But I think mainly because I just don't want people looking at my knees.
Seeing a man wearing shorts on stage is what killed Jimmy Pineapple.
He's still alive.
Well, if that's living. He's just a guy whose name I know. Like whenever I come to Houston, I throw Jimmy Pineapple into as many conversations as possible.
That's so funny.
Because Jimmy Pineapple is one of the funnier names you're allowed to say.
It is a funny name. I think he's still out and doing comedy. And
I'm sure he is.
And I booked a festival, very first year we ever booked it.
Yeah.
And he made this post and I got tagged in it. And he's like, this Houston comedy festival can't even call itself a comedy festival. He didn't book me. They didn't even ask me. I just got snubbed. And then I didn't even know who the hell he was. And I like get tagged in it 100 times. They're like, how could you? And I go, hey man, should I know you? Like, I don't know who the hell you are. And they're like, if you don't know Jimmy Pineapple, you don't know anything about comedy. And I was like, this is a funny sentence.
He was one of the outlaws.
Yeah.
What does he wear on stage? Does he wear a suit on stage?
I bet he wears a one-piece
I've
suit
never
like
seen
Sinbad.
him. I've still never seen him. I've only talked to him online.
After this interaction, you didn't look
I
him up?
apologized to him because I was a new comic and didn't know anything. I was like, maybe he is somebody I should know. And then he was kind of fine after that, but we're still not friends on Facebook. So Andy Huggins is an outlaw. He's a killer.
So Andy Huggins, I love.
He was going to be on your show, but he was on the original 421, but not this one.
Yeah.
He said he wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah, because it wasn't on a dope holiday.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Oh, he's the best. He was someone that I was terrified to go after for years and years.
Rightfully
and years.
so.
It's just he just murders. He just goes up there and murders. And I saw him, and I finally saw him get human. I saw him bomb once, and I was like, he's a real man.
Yeah.
He's real, you know. So that made it a little more comforting to me. I know that sounds fucked up.
Every time I listen to a hero say that they bombed, I'm like, it gives me a sense of deep relief. Is that awful? Am I a bad person?
No.
It just makes me feel normal. Yeah.
Well, I think when you're new, you were like so scared of bombing, and then you're bombing, but you're kind of in denial about it. But then once you've been around, you're like, oh, everybody bombs.
Right.
It just happens. Sometimes there's really no rhyme or reason. It just fucking happened, and that's it.
Do you think dudes more are in denial at the beginning? I've hated myself from the beginning, and even when I do well, I still am like, it's not good enough. I feel like it's more of like a male thing to walk off stage and be like, fuck yeah. That vibe.
I think that exact thing you just did is 100% a male thing.
Yeah, especially when D-Generation X comes off stage and they're like, hey, fuck you.
Yeah. I've never seen a woman do the suck it as they walk through the curtain.
Now I kind of want that to be the thing that I do when I get off stage.
You should.
You should come up to their music.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't know? Andy Huggins gave me... he told me this once, and I think this kind of holds up, is he said that when you first start, if you're getting... I'm watching someone's set, they're brand new, and I'm like, man, these guys are bombing really hard, but they got 4 laughs, and they've only ever had 3 laughs before. Right. So in their brain, they're like, I did great. Like, that's how they see it, because they've never actually killed before.
Yeah.
So you don't know what killing's like until you really, you know what I mean? And then so every time you're just like, well, that's the best set I've ever had. And you're like, I murdered, but really 5 people laughed.
Right.
So I think people just don't know until they've already done it, if they've killed. And then once you killed, then in your head, you're like, well, every set could have been better,
Correct.
That's my stupid theory.
I think it's more anomalous than anyone ever does well. Like, if you think about it, making a group of people laugh for a sustained period of time is akin to some kind of witchcraft. You know what I mean? Like, it's like comedy is so mercurial and crowds are so fucking fickle that the fact that you're able to make people laugh is like more of the outlier. Everyone should just be bombing all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like truly remarkable that we like get to the point where you can like have repeatable results as far as making people laugh.
Especially, there's so many outliers too that it feels like creating a special, like, having everything fall into place where they're excited to see you come on and then consistently do well. It seems like there are too many ingredients that would actually work, but it does for people who are good. I'm not saying it always works for me, but it does for people who are good.
I've never seen you have a bad set.
Oh, that's so fucking nice. I could cry. Don't be serious on this podcast.
I've only seen you 3 times.
Okay, but still, that to me, that you just made my whole day.
Isn't it weird how much sincerity just freaks you out after being a comedian?
I really hate it. Can you not do it?
When anyone's earnest, you're like, all right, what's the fucking punchline? What's going on here?
You still based in Denver?
I live an hour. I live in Fort Collins, but July 12th, we're just packing all of our shit into a pod and not having an address.
You're just gonna hit the road. Oh, because you're doing a whole international thing, right?
Yeah, my wife's done with the residency July 1st, and then she's gonna take 6 months off.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
It'll be good. I'm really excited for that.
So how long has that been? Because residency, school,
I've been with her for 11 years, and she's been in college or med school or residency the entire time.
Is she gonna go on the road with you?
Yeah, we're gonna spend a lot of time with our niece in Detroit, and then when I go to Key West, she'll come to Key West. When I go to Australia, she'll come to Australia. When I go to Kansas City, she'll be elsewhere.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but she'll be with me.
All that, and she's gonna take a break now?
Yeah, finally, a well-deserved little sabbatical.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I mean, after all that time, I'm sure you feel pressure, and school's expensive, and but she deserves a break.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
No, she's the greatest. So yeah, I'm really excited. I live an hour north of Denver. Currently.
That's great. I met her in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
That was that's when we met also. Mm-hmm. It was the last thing I did before COVID.
Me too.
It was like a week before where I remember like things being on TV about it and being like, okay.
Yeah.
Thinking it was going to be nothing, and then all of a sudden I was like,
my eyes.
oh, I really fucked up.
we were in a nice hotel there because we went to Maui, I think, before that, and we were in a hot tub with a bunch of Chinese people, like from China.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, when everything broke out, my wife was like, I saw it in her face. She was like, China, the virus.
The hot tub.
And I remember being like, I don't know if they were Chinese, honey. And she's like, they were fucking Chinese, Sam. I know Chinese people when I see them. And I was like, I don't think you do. You shouldn't say this.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I feel like back then we knew nothing about how it like went around. So like it was like, and here it grows on water and it's in the heat.
It could stay on the countertop for 10 days.
It's in your food packages.
Yeah.
It's like it specifically grows in hot tubs in Hawaii.
Yeah.
We believed anything.
I met your friend Roland there.
Yeah.
And I remember his name. And last night you were like, it's crazy to remember his name. Let me tell you why I remember the name Roland. Because when I was a little boy, I had a basketball that I drew a face on, and I would carry it around. And I would say, this is my friend Roland. Because he'd roll around, and I'd bounce him.
Roll in.
Yes, yes. So I had a basketball named Roland. And then later on, when I was on the road riding a bunch of Greyhound buses and mega buses and flying like Frontier and Spirit, I had this little suitcase that I also dubbed Roland. And I was on buses for so long. I would go out for like 2 weeks and come back with like $200. Like I was like doing it hard.
Yeah.
And I remember just like being on a bus and like really dark nights of the soul, like talking with Roland, being like, "Hey, buddy, what do you think?" And like doing bits just for myself in the back of a megabus.
Tom Hanks and Wilson-esque.
I mean, I was out. I was cast away.
That's also the safest person you can talk to on a Greyhound.
Oh, for sure,
hands
dude.
down.
Yeah.
Except instead of like alone on an island, you're just surrounded by people on a bus, being like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?"
Oh
Greyhound bus is such an experience. If you haven't seen the country like that, you shouldn't. But
shouldn't have to.
Yeah. I remember. My dad and my mom got divorced, and when I was like 15, 16 years old,
you started wearing eyeliner and listening to Reggie in the Full Effect.
I do love that band.
I know you do. That's like all I really know about you.
But there's I had to take a Greyhound bus from New York to here at 16 by myself. And then I would have to take it back at the end of the summer.
Wait, where are you from? Like Green or something?
Rochester, New
Rochester,
York. Not a great town.
I love it. I think it's great.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
What do you like about it?
I fell in love with a girl named Lauren who lived in Rochester when I lived in Ithaca.
Okay.
And
I mean, Ithaca's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
You ever jump off the cliffs in Ithaca?
I'm so afraid of heights. I never did any of that
terrified,
stuff.
but I did it anyways.
Good for you.
And this poor girl we went with, she did it. We do this thing where you would jump off this like 6-foot cliff onto this water tower, and then you would jump off the water tower.
Oh God!
So on the 6-foot jump to the water tower, she broke her ankle.
Oh!
And then the only way off the tower is jumping into the fucking water. Oh. This poor girl had to jump in with a broken ankle into the fucking water, and then we carried her like a mile back to the car into the hospital.
That makes me so nervous.
It was brutal. I felt so bad for her.
I didn't mean to curtail your Greyhound bus story.
Oh, that's okay. I've got all these bad stories to tell. That's it. But yeah, I used to take the Greyhound, and 16, I don't know any better. I don't even think I had a cell phone at the time, which is wild. My parents would be like, "You'll be to your dad's in 2.5 days.
Oh yeah,
here's $30."
Right.
And then I'd be bad with money. I'd run out of money like fucking a day in off of beef jerky or something I ate.
And then Archie magazine.
Yeah, it was bad. And I remember sitting there, and this old guy, packed bus, he starts talking to me on the way back to Rochester, and I was hungry. I was out of food. And he goes, "You want some of this tuna and crackers?" And I go, "Yeah, I'll do that, you know." And then he starts talking about Hillary Clinton and talking about how aliens are everywhere and all this. I was like, okay, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
But I've been with him for 12 hours just sitting.
You're his road dog.
Yeah, we're friends at this point.
Yeah, he has a nickname for you.
Yeah,
you're Scrappy.
Yeah, it was rough. And he's like, you know what? You seem like a good kid. Where were you going? And I go, I'm going back to my mom's. And he's like, so is your mom single?
Yeah.
And he's like, starts hitting on my mom through me, and I'm like, she's awful. You'd hate her.
Yeah.
You know?
She hates
like,
tinned
She's
fish.
like, well, I can't wait to meet her. and I got off the bus, and I saw my mom. I was like, Mom, we gotta get the fuck out of here quick before Randy comes and becomes my dad. It was brutal.
I'm so relieved at the end of that story. I thought that story was going to go in a wildly different direction.
Yeah.
No.
You have any scary Greyhound bus like stories from all the?
Yeah, I have a bounty of them. Every time you're on a Greyhound bus, you're terrified. I have a fun one. My most fun actually was Houston and New Orleans on a Greyhound from right down on like Polk Street by where we stayed. And I got on the bus and I had a weed pen and my friend Roland, of course. And I went in the far back and it was me and only black people, which is a common occurrence in the American Southeast when you're on a Greyhound.
Yeah, of course.
I also took one from Baltimore all the way to Denver, which was also anyway. I get on this bus. And as soon as we like get on the highway, a boombox comes out, And this is in like 2016, and it was like a giant boombox, like a Do the Right Thing-esque boombox.
Yeah.
And it comes on, and they're playing like real funky, like, you know, Afrobeat stuff, and they pull out a big bottle of gin. And I see the four seats in front of me, so I pass around this bottle of gin, and then they kind of like give me and of course you drink out of the gin bottle. You know, it's 9 a.m. You have a show in New Orleans 12 hours from now. So I drank it, and they were like, "Oh, all right." And then I pull out my weed pen, and I hit the weed pen, and they were like, "Oh, white boy, get down!" And I started passing it around. I got to New Orleans already blackout drunk, and there's photos of me on stage that evening, just in my underpants, and I have no memory of any of it. But I had such a blast on that Greyhound.
Yeah, I would imagine a Greyhound to New Orleans is like probably pretty fun in general. I would imagine all of them are because you're going to a town that is just to party.
That's like being on a Spirit flight to Las Vegas.
Yeah,
everyone on that flight is having a blast.
Yeah,
I feel like it's an honor that they offered you the gin too. I would have been so honored. Like, whom?
I'm not a gin guy, but still cool.
But it's
hot
about,
gin
like,
out of a bottle.
When
there's nothing better than being accepted by black people.
yeah, it makes you feel cool as hell.
The fucking coolest
Pacific
thing ever.
Islanders accepting, that's also fun.
Yeah, for sure.
When they bring you in.
Yeah.
That's, especially as a large man who's often idolized, the Samoan body type. It's very cool.
Yeah. I got accepted in jail once by some black guys, and that was fucking awesome. They taught me how to make dice out of toilet paper.
Yeah, that's why you have that Black Gorilla family tattoo. I always wanted to know why.
I'm going to get ruined.
Why?
No, I don't know.
I'm normally the villain of this podcast, so I'm just letting this sink in.
Black Gorilla Family is a prominent prison gang. I wasn't being
I thought you were being incredibly...
No.
I thought you were calling me insane
He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything about prominent prison gangs. He was just trying to act hard, saying he was accepted. He's like,
I made friends. I was there for like 5 days.
Wow.
I was a trustee first day in.
Now that I'm looking at it through your eyes, yes, that must have been horrific.
Both of us just started sweating.
Yeah,
He's like,
I was like, oh,
what's he doing? What is he doing right now?
Oh, God. I didn't know that was a gang.
Yeah.
You didn't learn that in your 5 days in jail?
Listen, I've spent total, if you had all my days in jail, 3.5 weeks probably.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
That's very good, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say good, but you know what I mean. Have you been to jail?
Yes. Yeah, 2 overnights. Well, 3. I went to jail at Metro State University on the campus jail where I went to college.
Just being drunk or
Being
what?
drunk on campus at like 6:30 in the morning. I showed up. I didn't go to bed and just showed up drunk and like threw up in the hallway.
Damn.
And they were like, "Are you sick?" And I was like, "Are you sick?" And then they just took me to a drunk tank on campus.
And they just let you go afterwards?
Yeah, I just chilled in there for 8 hours.
Nice.
Yeah.
Were you already doing comedy in college?
I started doing, for my 18th birthday, my mom got me an Against Me tattoo, and she signed me up for improv classes at the Bovine Metropolis Theater in Denver. So I started
Your
doing.
mom sounds amazing.
She was the greatest of all time, yeah. So I started doing improv in like August of 2005, and then got into stand-up in like 2007.
I started an improv too. Do you get shit for that from other comics?
There was a huge divide. Huge divide when I started. My friend Nathan, who's swimming in your beautiful pool right now, he was a hardline stand-up, and all my friends who they're my friends now, but at the time they were like, "It's fucking Sam. He does improv. He's a tourist.
Yeah.
He'll fucking quit this."
I don't know if I don't think it's like that as much anymore, but I got a lot of shit when I did improv, and I did it like the first year I was doing stand-up. I did stand-up for about 6 months, and then I also started improv, and I was like, oh, this
seems to be a revelation for you.
Sorry, I didn't know you ever did improv.
Oh, I totally did. I had fun. I loved it. But my stand-up friends they'd always give me shit for it, and then they came to my recital uninvited.
Oh, that's so sweet.
No. They came to like watch it be awful.
Did you call it a recital?
That's what it was called. I'm just saying. I don't know. What do you call it?
There's no way it was called that.
Yeah,
it was called your graduation performance. It was not called your recital.
Like the 5th grade when it's
was
like
my recital.
At Christmas time when you play those little
the recorder.
The recorder.
Yeah.
You have to play.
I had to wear a suit. No, it was fun.
No,
that was a joke.
Okay, my God.
But I remember it's a small theater, and I remember seeing a whole row of all of them.
Yeah.
And they were just like, just like ready. And then
You did well?
oh, it was great. It was so
Awesome.
fun.
That's
and then
good.
they were like, actually, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I go, ha, losers.
So there's no decent improv. There is the best show you've ever seen, and then there's dog shit.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground for improv.
Yeah.
And I think improv defined me from about 20 to 21 or 18 to 21. That was like my favorite thing in the world. I never thought I would be a comedian or like a stand-up. I thought I would go to Second City. Like that's all I ever wanted to be as a kid, was to be like a fucking Farley-esque guy, you know? And then somehow stand-up took the reins. And I thought when I started stand-up, I was like, you have to have jokes. You can't improvise up there. You have to have like one-liners. So like when I started doing stand-up, it was all one-liners. And then now like I've kind of like allowed myself to improvise as much as possible on stage. And that's where the juice is for me. But man, I fucking loved improv. It was the greatest.
It does feel like it's 80-20 though. Like 80% it doesn't work out. So like people who come to improv have to like know that it's going to be whatever it's going to be. And then 20% of the time, and that might even be generous, that it works.
Yeah.
But then I feel like there are people like Ben Schwartz or Thomas Middleditch that you go and watch and it's more consistently going to be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it so much. I'm just not a team player, so I wanted to.
Oh my God.
It is
such a team player.
It is
I wish
tough.
I was.
I feel like
too self-involved.
I feel like it is tough. At least it was tough for me. I would have to be like, Andrew, calm down. Let someone else do something for a minute and then hop in. Otherwise, I'd be like, oh, I want the punchline.
Right.
I want the laugh. You know, I knew. That's when I knew I was like, oh, I got to do stand up more than the improv for sure. Because I was like, I just wanted to laugh the whole time.
Yeah.
I feel like it helps stand up though.
Oh my
like
God.
it helps improvising
100%.
and like even the patience and like timing of supporting other people and like let it setting things up for them to succeed.
Yeah.
I love it.
It teaches you how to go on stage and fail in the most abject, awful way. Because when you fucking fail at improv, it's an awful feeling.
Yeah.
Like, it's very bad. And it teaches you how to do that without any plan and to realize it's not that big of a deal. So when you bomb alone with prepared material, you're like, oh,
who gives a shit?
I bombed up there with 4 other people. No one could help me.
Yeah.
I love it. And that was the first thing that never made sense to me was improv. It's like find the relationship, listen, support, like all those parts of improv just like totally fit in like cogs in my head. God, it was such a big deal. I loved it.
I always thought it was cool to it helped me with being goofy.
Yeah, silly.
Being silly because you're up there, you're acting shit out, and so you're being silly. So then when you're doing stand up, it's okay to be a little sillier or bigger or you know. And I think before I ever did improv, I was kind of like, I'm just going to stand here and not move.
Correct.
You know. And so now I'll get a little bit bigger, and you know, it's not always goofy, silly stuff, but I'm not afraid of that. You know.
That's the weird thing about East Coast comedy is like guys from New York have such a hard time being silly. They will not allow themselves to be silly up there. And that's why Dan Soder's success is such a fucking noteworthy thing because he's a silly, goofy guy.
Yeah.
You know.
There's this Pennsylvania.
He's from Denver, Colorado. He's from Aurora, Colorado.
Look at that.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I relate so much more to that like New York-y vibe, I think, in my soul. But I think it's so important because of that. I think it's so important to try and be more silly, which is why I love like not just improv, but like sketch and like the comedy Bang Bang type, all those characters that they do. Like, and I love some like Lauren Lapkus and Carl Tart and all these people who I think are so silly. And I don't know. I think I'm so lacking in that area. So I love that stuff extra, you know, like I feel like that's what I could learn from. But
I
anyway.
couldn't agree more.
I love silly
I'm
comedy.
trying to be as silly as possible now. Let me ask you guys this as comedians. Last night, and we talked about this at Mize, by the way, which is awesome. Thank you for suggesting
How good was
that.
it? Did you get this tofu
perfect,
or
dude.
no?
We did not get the tofu.
Okay, that's okay.
I was with the fucking squad.
I get
the
it.
Pig posse.
I get it.
I can't
I
order
get it.
tofu in front of, you know,
You could have gotten that, and what'd you get?
Hi, we are 1,000 pounds, but we have tofu. We are 3 men who are not allowed on an elevator at once. No, we got like a bunch of stuff. It was great.
Yeah,
Thank
it's great.
you.
It's a good late night. That was like the late night drunk spot for
Dude.
my entire early mid 20s and early 20s.
And it is such a high quality of food there at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this though.
Yeah,
Sorry,
let's do it.
I don't mean to.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested to know. Last night I did the thing where I apologized to a guy in the front row after goofing on him, and then I went for the handshake, and then I did the pull away.
I love that. Yeah, the
right.
whoop.
So I brought this up. I said, Nathan, who I respect, my friend Nathan Lund, co-host of the Chubby Behemoth podcast. Listen to it where all podcasts are. I was like, so I don't think that's hacky because we've all done that. Everyone's done that. Your dad did it. Your uncle did it to
silly.
you. It's silly, but no one's done it on stage. If someone already did that on stage, like if that was like a fucking established like thing in stand-up, the pull away, then it would be hacky. But I think doing something that's so dumb that is a commonplace behavior, not on stage, I don't think that you can define that as hacky.
I think it's probably been done on stage. However,
like Harlan Williams probably has done
like
it on stage.
like a silly thing, and I think that's fine because because even whoever did it didn't come up with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
We all learned it from a dad or something like that.
Yes.
That'd be like you walking up to a crowd member and be like, got your nose?
Right, yeah.
Which would be funny because it's so ridiculous that would even happen.
Yes.
So I think it's funny, but I love silly. So
I love silly too.
You would have to have I think if you love silly, then that's great.
Right.
And I could see people being like, what? You know?
Well, I think there's a lot of people. I mean, the people who don't like my comedy, I totally understand.
Yeah.
Because if you're not buying in and swallowing the bait, you can sit there and go, "What is going on? Why is this allowed? Why is everyone else laughing? What's he doing? He's treating that man like a baby. What's happening?"
Yeah.
So there is that divide of like really thinking about like the dumbest shit with this like very high, pretentious, like almost artistic mind. That kind of shit is very interesting to me. Like conceptual art. Like Shed Boat Shed, like all this weird shit that wins these awards. That kind of stuff is like so pretentious that it's absurd and ridiculous. And I really like that.
Yeah, I love an absurd thing. You know who's really absurd and fun to watch on stage? TJ Miller.
Of course.
He's very absurd.
He was a massive influence on me.
I love him.
Denver guy.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I thought he was Chicago for some reason.
Started in Chicago, but he's from Denver.
Gotcha.
He's from Cheeseman Park, if you guys know what that means. Real nice house at 13th and Humboldt.
I opened up for him a couple times.
Should we not put that in?
No, I'm just it hit me.
Yeah.
After you said that.
But he always closed on this bit that to me was so funny, and literally it would get most of the audience, but there would be some people like baffled, like what the hell. But he would do this bit where he's like, all right, I'm going to end with a vaudevillian act, a juggle. He goes, on my rider, I put 3 apples, but they said they're out of apples, so I only got oranges. But I'm going to do a classic bit, and he starts juggling these oranges, right? And he's going, and he goes, all right, here we go, and then he just starts taking a bite of the oranges, and then like doing with the peel and all.
Yeah,
and it's so funny and disgusting and beautiful, but it's silly Billy up there, and it's the funniest thing. I'm a huge fan of it, that silliness.
TJ and Dan Soder would come back like for Thanksgiving and Christmas and do our shows, and we'd get to see them. You know, like
that's amazing.
It was the best. It was such an important thing. And then TJ and me started doing 2-man improv together when he would come home.
Oh, that's great.
It was mental, dude. That was like some of the most fun I ever had on stage. TJ was such a huge, just like cattle prod right into my cerebellum of like, you're allowed to be silly, you're allowed to be strange. God.
Yeah, he murders. I mean, I've opened for a ton of people, and I watch everyone's set at least once or twice in a weekend, you know. But he's the only person I've opened up for multiple times where I watched every single set.
Because they're all different.
Because he does about 10 minutes of material, and then he just crowd works the whole fucking time, and it's nonstop laughing.
Yeah.
Like it murders. It's beautiful.
Yep.
So it's pretty nuts.
I think the commitment too is like being silly, and then if it doesn't hit at first, like still staying in it. That's really difficult for most human beings to plow through.
Yeah.
And just commit to, and then people can tell if you're uncomfortable. So those people who like just seem so purely silly and then they commit to it, everybody can tell that it's genuine. And I think that's why people who are naturally silly like that, it's a gift. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of crowds have an aversion to silliness because they think it's like juvenile or below them to laugh at like kind of immature comedy. And it really infuriates me when people won't like just give you the benefit of the doubt.
I don't understand why you can't like both kinds of comedy. Like somebody, I like someone who, if you know, there are comics who I would consider like cerebral more, and I enjoy it. But honestly, I probably enjoy the silly shit even more. And I can't imagine not laughing at something that's funny because your brain has like like it should just, if it's silly and funny, just laugh. I don't know why you have to overthink it like that. Isn't that the whole point? To go and
I think it's because a lot of people might be on a date and they don't want to look like they would laugh at some foolishness in front of their date. It's typically men who are hard faced and they're like, you know, they have like a faux hawk and they're wearing some kind of like bejeweled T-shirt.
Do you focus in on those people when you see them in the crowd and try to talk to them, or do you just ignore them?
Oh no, for sure. And then I'll be like, I got your ass. That's a fun thing to do, is be like, I got you. That's what got you.
Yeah.
You finally liked that part, you idiot.
Yeah.
I was worried about you for 20 minutes, and that's what made you laugh. Who cares?
I did. In Australia, the last show we did was New Zealand actually, and big theater. There's this lady in the front row, and I have a couple jokes where I've talked about women in sports. It's not great. I mean, I love the jokes, but it's not. Women don't always love the joke, but there's some like things. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'll post the joke later because I think it's good. But she's like staring. She's just like, everyone else is laughing. She's just like shaking her head at one point. I go, ma'am, you hate me, don't you? And I address this in a theater, and she's like, yep, I do. And then I go, that's okay. And then I kind of talk back and forth. Everyone's laughing about that. And then 2 jokes later, I do a joke about fucking my kids.
Yeah.
And she's dying laughing. I go, you get mad about the WNBA, but I can fuck my kids and that's what gets you? Yeah. And then that murdered because everyone's like, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. But it is, when you get them, it's so fun to be like, hell yeah, I got you. And it feels like you did. It's like an accomplishment. You don't care about everyone else laughing. They're laughing already. But getting the one person that you like, this is an obstacle I'm overcoming. You know?
It's also like a sweet revenge.
Yeah.
It's like, look, you tried so hard to actively show your disdain for me, and now look at you.
Yeah.
Just like everyone else. Another pig eating my slop.
The whole audience can be laughing, and that's the person that I'm like laser focused on, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm gonna get you.
Of course, that's the human thing.
Yeah.
But I think the silly thing, silly doesn't come off as cool. I think it's cool as hell.
Does not come
and
off
that's
as cool.
that is why they have the like, I don't want to be like, this isn't cool if I laugh at this. You know what I mean? They want to laugh at cool things, and I get that. But that's why I think they got that hold up, is because they're just trying to still be cool and enjoy it instead of just like laughing at goofy shit.
It's a great observation.
Silly is the funniest thing ever. I mean, I like bottom of the barrel funny. Like,
me too.
If one of us farted right now, it'd be the funniest thing ever. I'm not saying do it. But
you haven't burped yet. Usually, he's being polite in front of you.
No, it'll come. I was burping last night. Like, I got some stomach issues, man.
Man, that thing you said about dates, that's so true. It's just like hitting, especially if it's a newer date, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And they're still in that like trying to impress you zone. I've been with my person so long that I forget about that, but like it's fun to kind of watch that interaction too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because a lot of men are like, this isn't fucking anything new, but it's a lot of like, I could do that. Like, that's the crossed arms. Like, I'm funny too. Who cares? Why are you listening to him? It's a very... I think that most early stand-ups, most host sets are derailed by a guy who wish he had sunglasses on in the club watching, and being like...
And loud drunk women, that too.
I like a loud drunk woman.
Were you there for the midnight show?
I left it.
Nightmare?
That one goes off the rails sometimes.
Oh my God. This was the worst I've seen ever.
Really?
In maybe the history of a drunk woman. In my years of doing stand-up.
Sad I didn't stick around
she get
a
up and
little
try
bit.
to get on stage?
No, so there was like there was 5 young people in the front, and in the middle there was a very drunk, I think drunk also on benzos, that common affliction, and she would be quiet, and then out of nowhere she would just be like, "We're all having a funky time right now. Woo! Woo! We're doing this is why you do it. We do it." And then her friend would fucking clamp over the mouth, and she would kind of, it was like when you throw like a fucking towel over a dog's head. Yeah, and then she would just, and then about 2 or 3 minutes would go by, and she'd be like, "We all know what time it is. It's time for it. We're here for it, and it's time." So Lund went on before me, and he told me, he's like, "This fucking lady, she's stepping on everything. She won't shut up." So I go out, and I think the person who's being a problem is the woman to her left. So I immediately start talking to her, try and control the situation. 4 minutes, 5 minutes goes by. I'm like, "Oh, I've done it.
Yeah.
I've quieted the beast." But then, right next to her, oh, the world. We're in it. We're on it. You know? Just like nonsense.
Schizophrenic?
I don't know.
This
dude.
woman was
insane.
fucked up to the point where she didn't know where she was.
Correct.
It sounds like.
Yeah.
Yes. So
And-
I again silence her. I'm like, okay, to deal with that. But then the 7 or 8 minutes in, she wakes up and she says, I don't need no weak ass N-word. She's a Latino woman,
Okay,
so she
well-
thinks she's getting away with it. And when she said the N-word, I laughed so hard and I went, you said the worst one?
There is a thing that in Texas, Latino and Asian seem to get away with the N-word.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
it's no one questions it.
Well,
It
and there
it's
were
said
black
and-
people at this show. They were protesting
Yeah,
Patrick, of course, but they were there, and I was like, "Oh, you said the worst one," and then I looked at them, and the guy just went,
I guess.
Yeah, who knows?
No one knows what to do with
Yeah,
it. When I see someone do it, I'm like, well, you're not white, so I don't really know. I don't think I can tell you not to
"None
say
of my
it.
business." Yeah,
You know. So
yeah. But
that's-
she eventually got tossed after my set.
I was about to say, no one tossed her out.
no,
Jesus.
she made it through 4 sets.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Not for the staff at the club, but it's impressive.
Well, I think to their credit, they knew that tossing her out was pulling the pin on a grenade.
Oh, because did she make a whole fucking thing?
No, she dealt with it with grace.
Well, good day to you.
yeah, yeah. No, she was hell. But
God.
it was.
That makes
I mean, it was a fun thing. I mean, it was just like when you're on stage and you know that you nothing can be done. You just kind of have to hand yourself over to it, and you're like,
of
this
course.
is ridiculous.
That is, yeah.
It makes me think of Homer Simpson when he's like, why, when everyone calls me sir, do they always follow it up with, you're causing a scene?
yeah. Yes.
What's your worst? Let's do our worst heckler story, and then let's do some advice, and we'll get out of here.
So I'm still like relative baby in this, and I feel like it was early on when I had an immigration joke and some lady started screaming at me from the back about, it was literally a joke about 90 Day Fiance. And she was like, that's not how it works. And she stood up and started, a Latina chick, and she was like, that's not how it fucking works. That's not how it works. She just kept on saying that over and over and over again. And I was like, I think I said something like, this isn't a TED Talk. I'm telling jokes. I didn't know. I mean, I didn't really handle it with as much grace as I hopefully would now. But I tried to, I think what I did was like head down, power through to the next joke without what I would do now, which is like acknowledge it a bit more. So I think I just plowed through, and I think the crowd was generally on my side, but that's the worst I've experienced. I haven't had anything crazy. Yeah.
What about you?
Las Vegas, 2016. I had a 2-week residency at Planet Hollywood.
Sounds fun.
Well, hold on. No, it was not fun. So it never went well. And it was like a variety show where I'd go up and do 20, and then I would bring on a variety performer, come back and do 5, and then another variety performer. And then I had to do like 15 at the end, then bring on the big headliner, which was a woman who shot a bow and arrow with her feet.
Wow. So you were the only comic and hosting a variety show, basically.
Every now and then there'd be a comic in the variety performer segments,
yeah.
you know? So I go out and I'm probably like 4 or 5 minutes in. Things aren't going very well. And then a man raises his hand in the front row, and I'm like, yes, sir, what's going on? And he's like, no more of you.
Is this soup Nazi for comedy?
So he ended up being Latvian. No more of you. And I was like, what? And he was like, you're ruining my wife's birthday. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then Spotlight hits him. And I'm like, what do you mean? What's the matter? And Spotlight hits his wife, and it's a woman, just hand on her face, crying. And I was like, oh, man, what's the matter? And he's like, no more. You must go. It's her birthday. She hates you. We hate you. And I was like, well, you guys might not like it, but everyone else is having fun, right? Bone-chilling silence. Crickets. I've never been more alone in the world. The only laughter is the sound guy who's also doing the spotlight. He's loving it. So I try and save it. It's not going well. So it's Vegas, right? So they're very regimented shows. So these performers know to the second when they're going on stage. So about between 8 and 12 minutes, I go, okay, you know what? This is a losing battle. We got a great show. You don't like me? That's fine. I'm done. But now, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Tana the Tattooed Lady.
And not ready.
8 minutes of me. She's over there somewhere, everyone. Come on, make a little more noise. She can't hear you, everyone. Just me begging for Tana the Tattooed Lady to come out of those fucking curtains. She finally comes out. She's pissed because she's out there like 3 minutes ahead of schedule, you know?
Yeah.
She does her thing. I don't come back on after her. I just send out it was a comic. I send the comic out. He goes out, and then another variety performer, and then I have to come out at the end and do 15 so the fucking bow and arrow lady can get ready. So I come out, and the guy says, "You promised no more of you. You told us all. You say no more of me. You promise. You break your promise. You are not a man."
Oh my God! Did that make everyone else laugh?
No, everyone hated me.
Did he make them laugh at least?
No, no one was laughing. It was the most bereft of laughter.
15 minutes like?
Oh, it was like probably 6 minutes I got through, and then I brought her on to. It was very bad.
That's brutal.
Yeah,
that is hilarious.
It was
That is God, having to go back out, that's a tough one.
Well, it's bringing us joy now listening to it.
Oh, yeah. No.
That's a great story.
Yeah, and then also him being like, "You promised." And me having to be like, "Well, sir, I did," you know? Like
I didn't say I promise. I just said I was done for now.
It's so dramatic, too. Like, you're ruining her birthday, and she's like weeping.
She's weeping, yeah. And then he pretty much had like two like enforcers with him. They're all Latvian, it turned out. And there was like two men sitting behind him, just like with their arms crossed. It was like, well, they're gonna kill me.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it was very bad.
Should we take a question?
Let's do it.
All right, we got an email message. Here we go. Need motivational advice. So here's the thing. I'm extremely motivated within my career and work, but anything outside of that, you'll find me laying on the couch, napping, or endlessly scrolling. How can I find the energy to do things daily after work? Even just a routine to move my body seems so far-fetched because being lazy/sleep, even just like an hour-long nap, always seems like a dream, especially after work.
Antidepressants come to mind, and cocaine.
I feel like I wrote this email, so I don't know sure if I'm qualified to answer. I can't wait to nap as soon as we're done with this podcast.
Wow, really?
I mean, I might dip in the pool with you guys, but I love a nap. It seems like I have a lot going on and I'm doing a lot of things, and I do, but I'm napping a lot. I take a lot of naps, and aside from doing comedy, me being out doesn't really, it's not that much. No, I don't do that all that well.
I don't relate to this at all. I have the opposite problem. We all want what we can't have. It's what you have actually of like napping and like sleeping after. That's a gift. I'm constantly this feeling. I'm always like on edge. I'm a very intense person. I'm high strung. It's hard for me to calm down. So you could look at it at like a gift, like you just chill after work. Is there something you're trying to get done? Sounds like, you work hard, you're doing okay. I don't know.
Get a hobby.
Sam, any advice for this person?
I mean, I think it's very easy to make light of this person's struggles, but I think this is a common experience of people living in a first world capitalist society where there's this constant, I'm on the fucking hamster wheel feeling. And then, I mean, who knows? This person might be working 8-10 hours a day, an hour drive to and from work. I mean, that's around 12 to 14 hours of your day that's just automatically allotted to something you don't want to do. So yeah, I think that finding balance in your life is so difficult, especially when you do need the time to recalibrate, to rejuvenate, to rest. I think that a very easy thing to do is to find either an audiobook or a podcast that you like, or your favorite playlist, and just go on a walk around your neighborhood at sundown. Whether sundown is at 6:30, 9 p.m., watching the sun go down is such a simple, beautiful thing to experience, just seeing the colors of the sky and walking around your neighborhood, seeing the soft light hit the leaves, seeing these houses you've seen 1,000 times, seeing it in a new light. it can really help to like give you some perspective on just how like beautiful common occurrences are. So I would just say go on a little walk, try and do a half hour at the neighborhood when it's nice and cool after dinner, because a bike ride a little bit stoned is a blissful, tranquil experience that I value so heavily. So yeah, just get outside and move around a little bit. You don't have to go to the fucking gym. You don't have to go to the climbing wall. Just get outside and walk around a bit, and I think that might help you.
That was like solid advice.
That was
Normally,
actually
you
legit
give no good
advice. I know.
Oh, good.
You gave real solid
I
advice.
gave
That's
earnest
impressive.
advice
That
to a
was
person
amazing.
desperate enough to ask you fools for
Yeah, I
advice.
don't
Well,
know.
listen, no, I'm a desperately earnest person, so I
Me
try
too.
to avoid being that way too much because it's a lot for people. But I agree with that 100%. But I think it's a hard thing for someone who always feels like they're not doing enough, and I do think that is sometimes a uniquely American thing. Maybe people feel it everywhere, but there is that constant like I have to do more, and I feel like comics feel it a lot. Like you see other people doing stuff and videoing stuff, and you feel like you just need to always be. But yeah, I think if you can appreciate those little moments and take one step, don't think of a million things. It's one little thing, like you said. I think that's very good advice, and to try and like be present doing that one thing. I just think it's a little bit difficult, but stuff like, yeah, take a hit of weed or something.
You don't even need to be altered. Just go on a little walk at a different time of the day. When I lived in Vegas, it was the darkest time of my life because it was 110 degrees. You couldn't go outside in the daytime. You couldn't walk your dog. I had no friends. My wife was in med school. I was totally alone, effectively. She'd come home and I would have dinner ready, but then otherwise she was studying. But then I started going on walks around 11. Well, it was like 10 when the sun was going down in Vegas in the summer, and it was finally not 100 degrees. And I was like, this sucks. And I walked around and I took this weird turn on the street near my house, and there was a giant albino tortoise in the yard, just the biggest tortoise I've ever seen. It had in this yard, and it was eating a pumpkin, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I was a little bit stoned, of course, because I was. But I just got to stand and watch this gigantic behemoth. It looked like rock eat a whole pumpkin over the course of like an hour and a half. And that moment, the tortoise eating the pumpkin moment, really turned me on the idea of like, there is a lot of wonder in this fucking world. You just have to put yourself in a position to see it. And you're not going to see that when you're on your couch scrolling on your phone. You're just going to be reminded of like all the things you don't have and all the experiences you haven't yet lived. There's so many experiences just right out your front door. The Botanical Garden's a great place to re-fall in love with living. A butterfly exhibit. You don't have to do anything too heavy. Just get outside and look around. Eyes up, eyes off your phone.
That's the off the phone is huge. I think we all get into the doom scrolling once in a while. But I never feel good when I'm like, oh, it's been 2 hours and I've taken in nothing besides I've changed my algorithm enough where I do have a ton of cute like dog videos, and I enjoy that. But it used to be nothing but like sadness, and so I went through and liked every dog video I could to get a little fucking dopamine in my brain. Yeah. But getting off of that phone is so goddamn important. And even just doing little things, like even if you only go outside for 5 minutes, it doesn't even have to be a long walk. If you do that every day, then it becomes 7 minutes, and then it can become 10. It's not like you have to be like, oh, well, I'm going to spend an hour and a half out today, because that sounds like a lot to start. I think little steps, doing something a little different every day.
Yeah.
And plan it. I like when I'm down and I can't do much, I do like to plan for something. Like I got a trip coming, and I'm like, all right, cool. Let me research tickets. Let me do that kind of stuff. As long as I'm planning for something, I feel a little less bad about sitting on my couch.
This person seems to have no plans, though. You just bragged. You just threw fucking dirt on a grave that this person's dug.
Plan something.
Yes. Plan. Write the note. Get the stool. Make sure the rope is strong enough.
But I think,
at least you're moving towards something at that point.
But I think this person has an issue with like also feeling like they need to be. I think you have to go back to the like thing we were talking about even on stage with being silly, like in life too. Like not everything has to be so serious. You don't always have to be like, reading a book and learning a new thing and climbing a tree, and just sit and I don't know, like watching a tortoise eat a pumpkin sounds frivolous, but just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. You don't have to feel like you're always accomplishing something other than like you're allowed to watch a tortoise eat a pumpkin.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I would love to see that.
It was awesome, dude.
If you had a video of that on your phone, I'd be like, can I see that?
I had it on my old phone.
Damn.
I just got this new phone. I told you.
Is it
I
on
had
the
the tortoise
cloud?
video. No, I don't think so, man.
I'm not sure how the cloud works.
And then also, like, I would check in on that fucking tortoise every day. I would go find the tortoise, and I found out the feeding hours were like right around sundown. And
This was a place you would go.
This was a person's house, and they just had a giant tortoise in their yard.
That's insane.
That's
Yeah.
so Las Vegas too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we should. It's getting late.
Yeah,
He's got to
he's gotta
get to
get outta
Fort
here.
Worth. We should plug stuff. So, Sam, if you have any stuff coming up that you want to plug,
Yeah.
your book, your podcast, go
I have
for
a
it.
podcast called Chubby Behemoth. It's very good. I'll be going to Australia, just like
yeah,
Andrew did.
we just started getting a lot of because I was just there. So yeah, your Australia dates. Please check out.
I'll be
Sam.
there August 1st until August 21st doing the entire continent. SamTalent.com has all the dates on there. I'll probably, if you live in an American city, I'll probably be doing stand-up near you this year, and then Europe as well in November. So if you're in Australia, please come to the shows.
You're gonna have so much fun there.
I cannot wait.
I mean, I can't wait to hear
Lots
how
of
the
cute
trip's
animals.
Going.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's 90% of the trip, and that is really fun. I mean, there's nothing like feeding a baby kangaroo or like these quokkas or these all these little things. I mean, it's adorable. You almost like a I was watching a wombat and it was like rolling around and being silly, and I got videoed it, and then I listened to the video later. I'm giggling like a child, and it's pure actual laughter. I mean, it's like true laughter, and I was like, oh my god, I'm happy for a moment, and so I can't wait for you to see some of that.
I went there with Tim Dillon last year, and him holding a koala was exactly how you think it went. He like had it, and he was like, "Oh, it reeks. What's this gland?" And the lady's like, "There's a sex gland on its chest. It shoots out pheromones." And he's like, "All right, that'll do." He had it for like 20 seconds.
Oh, enjoy it, man!
Yeah.
Enjoy it. You can't Tim Dillon it. You gotta just enjoy the fucking little moments.
I do.
That's what all this traveling and everything we get to do is just enjoy those moments.
I have so much gratitude about everything.
It's a beautiful thing that we're all involved in.
Plug yourself, Andrew.
You just follow me at NoYoungBlood on Instagram, AndrewYoungblood.com. I got dates up there. I can't really think of anything right now. I'm a little hungover. But
It's good.
that's all I got.
Yeah, follow me at the Jamie Rowan. Follow at the Mess Hall Pod. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Later.